What's going on, Wes?
What's going on, Brian? Just settling in, getting ready for another lovely episode of PSVR Gamescast Live.
You know what I love about life, Wes? And you
What's
gotta you
that,
gotta
man?
appreciate the small things these days. Um, Dreams. Isn't it isn't it weird that like we go to bed every night and like dreams just happen and it's like craziness sometimes, like just absolute craziness. Like I went to bed last night, had the craziest dream, didn't wake up remembering it. Then I was on Twitter and I was scrolling through and I saw John Riggs' name. John Riggs, the
Uh,
retro guy.
I do know.
I
I
love
do
John
know.
Riggs. And the minute I saw his name, I was like, oh my God. Like I had a dream last night where John Riggs and I were ghost hunting in his house that I've never been to. I have no idea what his house looks like. And while ghost hunting and simultaneously debunking ghost hunting videos, I like spilled like a gallon of like some kind of hair cream or something on his couch. And instead, and like I didn't want him to know, so instead of like doing anything about it, I like ran to I like just abandoned what we were doing to go get paper towels. But then I was like, I don't know this house. Where are paper towels? Like this is listen. I understand what it's like to listen to someone else's dreams. I think I think in my head it's the funniest, weirdest, craziest thing ever. But everyone who's listening is like, this is fucking ridiculous. Can we get on with the show? I hate listening to other people talk about dreams. Right? It's the most boring
So
thing
please,
ever.
please tell me when you went back to clean up the hair cream that there was hair growing on the couch.
No, that would have been amazing. It's one of those things where like I couldn't find the paper towels. Like those stressful parts of dreams. Like if you've ever had a dream about waiting tables, like you just keep getting
Oh
sat and you
God.
can't even get people's drink orders. Like right, it's just like you just keep falling further and further behind. It was like that. Like I just went room to room to room and couldn't find paper towels and I was stressing out more and more. Listen, John, if you're out there, I apologize for your couch. Oh man,
Well,
why? We have these awesome things like that called dreams, and we don't, we just smile and go, yeah, that's a thing that exists in our world. Like what? Like why aren't we freaking out about these things more often? What is happening in our brains? Like no one even knows for sure, right?
yeah, I know it's kind of crazy. I know I still dream because I wake up and I know that I've been dreaming, but I swear, man, I can't remember my dreams the way I used to be able to remember. I used to recall dreams on the daily, but now it's just like
Yep.
the only ones I really remember are like ones where I'm interacting with people who have passed on or something like that. But besides that, like I can't ever remember my dreams, and it's kind of sad because I know that some of them are pretty awesome. I don't know if
Right.
they're as awesome as the one you just described, but they're still pretty awesome.
Very few things in life are as cool as the dream I just described. Uh, but hey, maybe this episode will be as cool. So you want to give it a shot?
Let's try.
Let's go. This is PSVR Gamescast Live. We film live every single Monday, West Day, and Two Wise Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern for your viewing pleasure, but we also care about your oral pleasure. That's why our good friend Rypop puts us up on podcast services of your choice. And if you don't have the attention span if you have my attention span and can't focus on anything, and you're not playing your Nintendo DS while listening to this in the background, don't worry. Rodi's going to put timestamps into the show. Actually, it's Wednesday. Waleed's going to put timestamps into the show later on. My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here without Parole, and this gentleman over here to my left, your right, it is Wes Dillon from our, yes, that's one of the two genders we recognize apparently, from our sister channel, Virtual Strangers.
Hello, Brian. Hello, Game Cats. Yeah, man. Happy to be here. Like it feels like it's been about a year since we've done one of these, and I think I say that just about every time. We've been real sporadic through the holidays, not only here on this channel but over on mine. And I said this on my show this past weekend. Like I feel like I'm ready to get back to like normalcy now. Like I've had enough break, and I'm ready to start getting back into to my normal life. And this is a big part of my normal life.
Yeah, same here, man. Same here. Like, I mean, having taken a couple weeks off at the end of 2024 and then getting sick at the very beginning of 2025. What a horrible way to start the year, by the way. It's never fun. It just felt like things were never going to get back to normal. Super happy that we're kind of falling back into a routine. I'm playing No More Rainbows right now, like for review, right? And I'm like, oh, start pumping out some reviews, start pumping out some Brian bites. Good times, man. Good times. And also, just a heads up, everybody. On Monday's show, I was talking about No More Rainbows, and I'd only played the first couple levels just to kind of get an idea of what it was. But man, like it's really starting to get hooks in me. Like, I think it's a fun game. I think still the better game. But man, there's a lot of fun to be had there. I think it's a good time. So it's going to be a fairly positive review. And yeah, it does run at 90 native. That was something that I like for whatever reason. In my head, I was like, I couldn't figure it out. Maybe because I was playing when I was sick. But when I jumped back in after Gamescast, I checked it out. I was like, yeah, this is definitely running at 90 native. It is just a little bit on the blurry side, though. I wish when you looked out into the horizon, it just looked a little bit better than it does. But still fun. It's a good time.
Interesting. So I haven't played this one on PlayStation yet. I played it, I want to say on Quest. I either played it on Quest or Steam. I think I played it on Quest. Gave it a couple hours. Was a bit disappointed in it. I really dig. I dig a lot about the game. Like obviously the world that they've built out here, the art direction. This is all great. I love all of that. I had problems with movement. Like I'm not a big fan of the gorilla tag style of movement to begin with, but it seemed like with this game, I was interacting with the ground. My hands were interacting with the ground when I wasn't intending for them to. So every time that I would like take a leap forward, I would accidentally push myself back a little bit. And it made it a kind of a struggle to go anywhere in the game. And I never got used to it. So after like a couple of hours of not getting the hang of it, I just kind of gave up on it. And then we covered it. And, my co-host had pretty much the same experience I had. But there were a lot of people in our community that kind of took us to task for it and said it's better than we were giving it credit for. And um, like I always felt that it was just kind of unfulfilled potential, and that if the movement system was a little bit better, that I really would have enjoyed the game. I never quite got the hang of the movement in it. So maybe I need to give it another shot. Maybe it's better on PSVR2. I mean, that's certainly possible that the tracking system works better on PlayStation, but that was a game I really thought I was going to like, and it turned out that I really didn't care for it all that much.
Yeah, it's I 100% agree with the feeling of the movement. But that was more like during my first half hour with it. I felt like that, it's what I found to be true is that you're good kind of pouncing around a little bit more than walking around. If you're trying to move, you're like this big beast, and you've got these gigantic paws, and so like when you're trying to like just kind of like move yourself a little bit, like a couple inches this way or a couple inches that way, that's when things start feeling faulty. And so I started learning to kind of like pounce around a little bit more, even the small pounces, and that's always incredibly accurate. But I do agree with you. And then when you stop trying to do like these smaller, minuscule movements, everything starts feeling really fluid. And it takes like they don't even teach you that you can do a wall jump until the second world or something like that. It's like you beat like these first 5 levels, and then you begin after you beat the first boss, you go and play you start up the second world, and then it's like, oh, and by the way, you can do this too. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Why did you take so long to tell me that this is like just a normal thing that my character can do? I can do these wall jumps, and then all the movement starts feeling really, really fluid, and you start doing these crazy, what Stride Fates was going for, like these crazy like parkour movements, and being like, I just pulled that off, like, and I felt really cool about it. And I think anytime VR makes you feel kind of like a badass, whether you're kicking ass, shooting guns, or you're wall running, or just doing cool platforming moves, I think that's when VR succeeds, right? When they make you feel like a badass. And strangely, this does that in the locomotion system, and I think that's when it started getting its hooks in me. So I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's like a 7.5 out of 10 type thing, maybe a 7 out of 10, right? But like there are so many great games in that in that score range, right? The 7 to 7.9 range, even the 6.5, I'd say to 7.9, that people just immediately ignore just because it's not an amazing game. But you can still get a lot of fun out of games in that range, I think.
Yeah, I think we're kind of spoiled now as VR gamers. You know, people like you know, it's the cool thing to say that there's nothing to play, right? But the fact of the matter is that there's way too much to play, and not even just for me as a reviewer, but I'm seeing the same thing from people on my Discord now, where they're like, you know, I'm just not going to play anything new for a while until I catch up, because you know, playing too much, you know, if you play too many games at once, then you don't play enough of any one game. So um, I can certainly identify with that, and I can see why a lot of people don't really have patience or time to play an average or slightly above average games, considering the onslaught of very good games we've had over the last 4 to 6 months.
Arken Age, of course, being one of those games. I
Yeah.
I heard through the grapevine, maybe my DMs, I forget. Uh, did you 100% the entire game?
Uh, yes, yes. I mean, at the so if you look at the profile selection screen, for some reason it says 99%. But if I go into like the main screen on my PlayStation 5, it tells me my progress is at 100. Um, I've completed all the missions. I've completed all the side missions. I've done all of the combat challenges and finished each one of those with the special challenge thing, whatever that may be. You know, all damage from a certain weapon or whatever. I found all the relics and unlocked all of the weapon modifiers. I've done everything that I know that I can do other than beat the game on the heroic difficulty. I finished it on the normal difficulty. So when I go back on New Game Plus, I'll kick it up to the top difficulty, and I think there's like 5 more trophies to get the platinum. And I've never gotten a platinum trophy. I've never really cared about it, but I feel like I'm so close to this one that it would kind of be sad if I didn't just go ahead and knock it off, you know?
Yeah, and it's so good, so good. Arken
Oh,
Age
it's
just
great.
continues to amaze me. Every time I jump in just to check something out, people ask, say, "Oh, can you do this?" Or, "Hey, can you check out? I've been experiencing this bug. Can you go see if this happens when you do this?" And every time I jump in and go kill a couple enemies and start running around and jumping and climbing, it's like I just want to stay in there. I just want to stay in there. It just feels so good to play. I think they absolutely knocked it out of the park with this one.
Yeah, I agree. I actually had you know we covered it last week, and I've had a bunch of comments on the video, and 99% of them have been people agreeing that it's really that good. And
Yeah.
we've even had consensus so far as I can tell among VR reviewers, even the ones that like to be negative when they shouldn't, are being positive about this one, which makes me really happy. Um, but I did have one comment, I forget who even it was, who says, "I just don't see the hype. I don't get it.
Hmm.
When I play the game, it leaves me wanting more." And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, me too. Like I played this game, I made sure to find every little thing and complete everything along the way. It took me 23 hours to finish my playthrough of this because I wanted to do all of it. And when I finally finished the final boss fight,
Hmm.
uh, I wanted more. I was ready to just go again, and I could very easily just pick it right back up now and start again on it. I'm probably going to wait a little while just because I think I'll enjoy it more if I do. But I absolutely could just play through the thing again right now, just because the gameplay is so fun and addictive, and the physics in the game is just it, you know, I kind of hate using the buzzword. It's polished. Like this game is uber polished, right? And everything feels and plays so well. And it's challenging, and it's fun to kind of find yourself in a hairy situation with multiple enemies coming down on you at once, and like, you know, pulling your gun out and parrying a melee attack, or any of the things that this game lets you do that a normal game doesn't. It's just fun, minute to minute, stage to stage. It's just good from beginning to end, and I absolutely am left wanting more. Now, I was telling you before we went on the air here, like, no game is perfect, and
Right.
obviously, if I was going to, I could point out some things, some very small things that if they had done, uh, then maybe this would be a 10 out of 10. I've never given a game a 10 out of 10, but um, I could certainly, I could draw out a roadmap to maybe making this the perfect game.
Right.
It's a lot closer than most of the games I've ever played. So, no, I think it's an all-time great game, or at least it seems that way so far. We'll see how it ages as the year goes along.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I've seen one or two comments from people saying I don't get the hype, or I get in and just like it doesn't grab me. Yes, it's polished, but what does that mean? It means nothing. If the game's not great. And I was like, well, for me the game is great, and for me the game is insanely polished, and it's listen, I'm never gonna tell somebody they're wrong for having the opinion that they have, right? It's like I had one experience and you had another experience, but my hope is that these people keep playing the game, because I will say that for the first hour that I was playing, I was like, this is insanely polished, but sirens on my end, but also I had this feeling that it felt kind of empty, that there was like an empty feeling that I had while playing it,
Yeah,
and as I played more and get pulled more and more into this world and learn more and more about the combat and all the weapons, and and dude, I mean, like, there's smaller bosses along the way, but then like that final boss is just like so fucking epic. I saw a comment from somebody who said the final boss puts Behemoth to shame. In a small way, it does, because of the polish and because of it's like it's got multiple forms, and I don't want to like ruin it,
tough,
even though
man.
we're playing the trailer that totally fucking ruins it. um it just feels more cohesive than the behemoth fights in Behemoth, right? It's like the Behemoth fights felt a little scripted, and there was a little jank to it. What you get with the final boss in Arken Age is this incredibly polished boss fight that it just feels so natural. And it's like, what am I supposed to do? Oh, yes, okay, that totally makes sense. Oh, are they gonna let me do this? Yes, they're gonna let me do that. Like, it's just, again, I'm kind of in awe that this team that started as two people who grew to four people during the
Right.
process, were able to create something this masterful and this, yeah, again,
Yeah.
polished, but also very, very fun. If you're not feeling it in the first hour or two, really stick with it, because it took me a little while to get hooked too.
Yeah, yeah. The first couple of biomes or levels or what have you, while they are challenging when you have enemies, they do seem a little bit smaller in scope and a little bit slower than I would have liked. And I was the same way. Like, um, at first, I was kind of afraid there was going to be more exploration than action. Um, but after I figured out where to go next and made my way into like the third or fourth biome, things picked up relatively quickly after that. And then, you know, I do feel for people who only give it an hour or two, because the game really doesn't start to hit its stride, in my opinion, until you really have a good amount of the weapon blueprints unlocked. When you start to build your arsenal out and you start mixing and matching pieces from different kits to kind of make these custom weapons, I think that's when the game really starts to find its own and get fun. And the boss fight is amazing. It probably could be a boss fight in Behemoth, honestly. I don't want to give too much of it away, but
It would have been
there
a
are a lot of
better boss
similar.
fight than the first Behemoth fight, I think.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Which, by the way, I think that they, again, I don't remember. I didn't go back and look at my footage, but I think that they nerfed the first boss fight in Behemoth for the final version versus what I played.
Yeah.
Because I seem to remember having to climb on that thing more and really um, having a more difficult time with it. And with that said, I'm pretty sure that the Arcanage boss has been nerfed from the version that I played and beat, because they told me they were going to. Um, I had a difficult time with that boss. Like, by the time I got to it, I'd been playing for hours and hours, day after day after day. And when I got to it, so you fight it in a few different forms in a few different stages, right? And by the time I got to like where I was consistently getting it to its second level, my left arm was dead, man. I was just so tired of holding two-handed weapons up
Yeah.
that my triceps were worn out completely. I took like a day and a half off without playing and went back and still found it difficult to hold those controllers up. So I ended up beating the thing with a one-handed weapon. I just had brought out a shield and like that needler style
Yep.
gun that,
That's what
yeah,
I used to.
and that's kind of what I used to win. But I was talking to the developers during this time, insisting that they don't um, spoil anything for me, letting me figure it out on myself. But I would ask them, like, this seems like I need to do this here, but it's not working. Am I just reading it wrong? And I did this twice about the boss fight,
Yeah.
and both times they said the same thing to me. Um, no, you're not reading it wrong. You're on the right path, but that's not exactly what you need to do. You have to do something similar to that. But by the time that our first patch rolls out, what you're trying will work.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about because I obviously was in constant contact with Blake, and I mean it's
Right.
just Blake mostly, and I think there are common sense things when it comes to boss fights, right? Like if you say, hey, this color is signifying a weak spot, maybe keep that significant throughout the course of the boss fight, right? And that changed. And like certain things that like you would expect to work just didn't work for no reason whatsoever. And so it is funny that I mean I don't know if I was the first one who complained about it or if I was one of many people who complained about it, but my feedback definitely made it into the final boss fight for anybody playing it at launch or after. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, and I'm against it, by the way. I think they should have left it the way it was. And I told them or asked them to at the very least keep the original boss fight mechanics on the heroic difficulty.
oh,
Because
interesting.
you're not really doing a lot different from what the actual original thing that you had to do was. But it just makes it a little bit more accessible and a little bit easier to kind of figure out what to do. More things work than originally would have. Um,
We'll
so
we'll
yeah,
we'll we'll talk
I'm trying to
off the
tiptoe
air so
around
we
it.
yeah we'll talk
Yeah,
off
yeah.
the air so we don't spoil it for anybody. But yeah, when he was saying that, like they were talking about making it easier, and I was like, don't make it easier. Like I like the
No,
challenge. I like that. Like I've accumulated all of this stuff. I'm gonna need it all for this final boss fight. I was like, don't make it easier, but certainly like there are visual cues and things that should work that aren't working. Anyway, great game, great game. Do you agree with my
yes.
score? I think I gave it a 9.4, 9.5. I forget what I gave it.
Yeah, that's about 9.5 is probably what I would give it. Again, I don't give 10 out of 10, but I would give this game the highest possible score that I would give any game. Like it's
Nice.
that good. It's excellent.
Excellent. Yeah, I really want to go back and play more. Popcycle in the chat says, "I hope Arken Age gets DLC." Part of
Yeah.
me wants that, just like give us a new biome and give us a new place to explore and maybe a couple extra weapon mods. But also, part of me is like, it took them 5 years to make this game, and they've created such great combat mechanics, great climbing mechanics, like just everything just kind of works, and so part of me wants to say, listen, as much as I'd love DLC, like go get to work on Arcane Age 2 and get that game out in 2 years, right? So it's still part of this life cycle.
Yeah,
Um,
if they're quick enough, they could do that. Like the this engine and this system that they've built out is advanced enough that I feel like it will hold up for a couple more years. So if they want to just build out a whole new story in the existing engine with the existing mechanics, maybe come up with a few new enemies and a few new weapons, some new environments, things like that. I feel like the core of what they have here will definitely hold up for another title. Um, kind of like what the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners did, right? Where they gave us a sequel. It was a full-on sequel, but it was just like the first game in many respects. I feel like Arkenage could definitely get away with that, and
Yeah,
I would much rather have that than wait 5 years for something that's maybe a little bit more even, next level above this. I don't think we need that. I think I want more of this. They certainly left room for it with the story. Um, so yeah, they could go either way. There could be DLC, there could be a sequel coming up. I just want more, and I really don't care how they serve it up.
for sure, for sure. Um, we got the Gamecat Andrew Ehrenreich with the level 2 membership says, I had a dream. I was playing Resident Evil 9 in VR. Scariest dream I've ever had. That wasn't technically a nightmare. Pretty fucking awesome. He's a TBG. To be maybe supposed to be, to be honest. TBH. I don't know fucking know. But dude, I Resident Evil 9 in VR. That will be a dream come true. It's like
Yeah,
almost certain to happen. Just needed to happen.
yeah. I've been hearing Resident Evil 9 pop up in conversations more frequently lately. I don't know if there's been some rumors or something I haven't been privy to, but it seems like people are starting to talk about it more, which is cool. I feel like it's getting close to the time where we might would hear an announcement of that title.
Yeah, you think it would happen soon. There's been a lot of talk about it over on my Discord, especially in the voice channels where I hang out. And I know that Rye Pop has been saying that he doesn't think they're gonna start talking about RE9 until after they're done promoting the new Monster Hunter. Just focus on one big title at a
That
time.
makes sense.
So it could be a couple months before we see anything on it, but hmm, it's about time. It's about time.
Indeed.
Kill Artist One, the Dreamweaver Gamecat, with the $5 says, "What's up, guys? Taking a break from artwork to catch the show. Let's fucking go!" Hell yeah, man! Kill Artist, our
That reminds
resident, awesome artist. What's up? What reminds you?
me. He asked me probably for the same thing he asked you for, but I haven't given it to him yet, so I feel like a turd. I'll send you something soon, dude. I promise.
Nice. Yeah, Kill Artist made some amazing artwork for the first Gamecat meetup, or the last Gamecat meetup. We did have one in 2019, which is so long ago. Doesn't even feel like it happened. And so now he's getting to work on artwork for the 2025 Gamecat meetup. Don't forget, you guys, Gamecat meetup 2025 happening at PAX East in just a couple months. Will be in May this year, so thankfully it won't be nearly as cold as it was last year. But it's going to happen at PAX East. We might be getting a panel room. Miles and I are working on that as we speak, and hopefully we're doing another live episode of Gamescast. We're going to and most people are staying around the same area, so it's really easy to hang out and shoot the shit. I think it's going to be a really good time. Can't wait to do it. We got Nihilist Ryan, the game feline, with a $5 tip, says, "Miss out on Monday's show, but here for this one." Sorry, man, you don't have to make all of them. I can't imagine. If I wasn't on this show, there's no way I'd show up for every episode. I am on this show, and sometimes I don't show up for every episode.
Yeah.
Magnum Gaming with the $5 tip says, "What's the best lighting you guys recommend for better tracking? I have 90-degree IR light, but my right sense controller gets wonky sometimes." I don't know if you're playing Phasmo, but the only game where my right controller gets wonky in is Phasmo. It just stops tracking for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then it starts working again. I don't know what the fuck's going on with that. But it sounds like you already have a decent light setup. 90-degree IR light.
Yeah. I don't. I've been really surprised at how well my controllers have tracked. Like lately, when I've been playing VR, it's been very late at night. My wife's been asleep in the room, so literally the lights in the room have not been on. I've been using light from my television and light like the bathroom door is like off to the side, and I turn my bathroom light on and it shines into the room. But the overhead lights have been off, and my tracking has been perfect. Now I am using a new headset and a new controllers. I got a new headset about a month ago, um, but everything has worked great, surprisingly so. Mm. So yeah, I don't know if you're having issues with your right controller. You might just have a whacked, you know, bad controller on your hands.
Yeah, maybe. I don't have any special setup, honestly. you know, I get a bunch of natural light from my windows, but I play a lot at night, and so I've got, you know, some overhead lighting, which is I don't blast or anything like that. I generally play in a really well lit room, but I don't have any like IR lighting or anything special. So yeah, hopefully it's just Phasmo. Like hopefully that's what you're playing, and you're like, what the hell's wrong with my controller? It's just Phasmo. But if
You
it's
know,
not
Corporate Zombie
Phasmo, then
says he had right controller issues in Alien Rogue Incursion.
oh, interesting,
Yeah.
very interesting. I don't think I had any tracking issues in like tracking issues are one thing, right? But then it's like when it's game specific, that's so weird. It's like what is the game doing where it just stops tracking occasionally? Lewis Matthews with the 10 euros says, happy 10th anniversary Without Parole. Thanks for all the great content, keeping the VR enthusiasm alive. Yeah, I completely forgot that it was 10th anniversary. Yesterday, I signed into YouTube and it said, hey, congrats on 10 years. And I was like, what? I thought that was in March. And I checked and it was like, nope. The first upload I ever published on Without Parole was literally 10 years ago yesterday. So it snuck up on
That's
me.
incredible.
It is
That
incredible.
is incredible.
Also scary.
Congratulations.
We should be doing so much better than this, Wes. Why don't we have 300,000 subscribers? Like it's been 10 years. This is actually horrible compared to most VR channels.
It's because you leaked that thing about hybrid games. That
Oh
was the
yeah,
turning point.
that's what it was. Oh my God. People, I didn't get a single subscriber from that leak. That was awful. That was the worst thing I ever did was tell people that their VR headset was not as close as they thought it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was good times. I've had a lot of conversations and been looking back a lot at the channel. We've gone through so many like iterations, so many different types of shows, so many podcasts, the reviews, dude. Looking back at like early reviews, it's like night and day. You know what I mean? It's like I'm definitely proud of like, you know, where the channel is and where we've, you know, where we've been and where we've come from and just but more than anything, when I look back, I'm just so thankful for everyone who helped out along the way. I mean, my mods have been ridiculously supportive and there for me like every step of the way. And my co-hosts, you know, like no one makes money off of this, right? Like I make just enough to pay my bills and I end up in the red every year after taxes. Like Without Parole doesn't make money. Without Parole loses money. Like it's the worst paying job, asking the most number of hours I've ever worked every week that I've ever had in my entire life. And I do because I love it. And so that means nobody on the channel gets paid. You don't get paid, Wes, AJ. Who else is on this? Miles, right? And looking back and just remembering like Mike and Michelle and Jeremy and Brett, and I mean just everybody who's been on, you know, and we've even lost friends along the way, man. Like Dave Station, you know, that ripped everybody's heart out when he passed. It's just been a crazy 10 years, but the community's been there the whole time and the co-hosts have been amazing. And I just feel so fortunate to be in this position, right? I've always said it, money's not important. I don't care if this channel never makes money. We'll figure it out. It's just way more important that we just keep doing what we're doing and enjoying it along the way. My tip window broke down while I was doing this. Good, but we're all caught up, so we can move along. Guys, as much as we appreciate the tips, don't forget that you can get your questions onto the show without spending a penny. You can go over to our Discord, which is a great place to hang out. A lot of great PSVR2 gamers over there. And you can leave your viewer takeover questions in the viewer takeover channel, just like a 388-year-old did. I have questions, Wes. I don't know if I want to live to 388 years old. I want to know how life is at that age. But he writes, #viewer takeover. What games would you guys recommend in the current sale? Thanks for the constant stream of oral pleasure. I think we should take a look at the sale, man, because it's the New Year sale only lasts another week. So this is kind of the last chance people have to pick up some of these games.
Indeed, and I haven't looked at this at all, so I'm quite interested.
It's not too many. As far as the New Year sale specifically, it's only 2 pages. It's like 37 titles. I think there's a bunch of DLC in that 37. So let me bring it up here real quick. And
there's some good stuff in here, though.
There is some good stuff in here, and that's why I wanted to take a look at it. So let me sort Oh, PlayStation Store. All right. Yeah, 37 results. And going through, I mean, immediately there's Gran Turismo 7, but it's like the 25th anniversary deluxe edition for like $50. It's like you can definitely get Gran Turismo 7 cheaper than that. You don't need to get all the bells and whistles. Dude, Red Matter 2, when that came out, just blown away by it. Technical achievement, masterful technical achievement, lots of great gameplay. Took everything from Red Matter 1 and blew it out of the water. Just made a monumentally better game. And it's almost half price. And I think it is half price if you have Plus, $16.49. Great deal.
Yeah. $15 if you're a Plus subscriber. Which I guess I still am. I remembered that I didn't. I always re-up during like the Black Friday, and I didn't do it this year. So I don't know if like my credit card's paying for like full price or whatever. Yeah, I guess I'm still on subscribed.
Dude,
Ubris, $13.49 right now. Plus, if you're a Plus subscriber, $10, $10.50 actually.
wow.
Which is a great game for a very small amount of money.
Yeah, I'd like to go back and play that again. Like we've had, especially now that Arken Age is out and we got like the sci-fi thing going on from that. It's like, how does Hubris hold up after we've played a couple other games that are sort of similar to it? But I remember having a blast with it. I think I have a quote on the box. It's my only box quote, so I better stand by that. Craziness. I will definitely stand by Arcade Paradise though. Arcade Paradise for 45% off. It's only $11. I mean, it felt cheap at $20. I love that game. Surprisingly good story attached to it, which I wasn't expecting, and a lot of fun retro games. Some of them could have been better for sure. Really good.
Good nostalgia, good vibe in that game. It's a VR version of a fairly well received flat game, and you can tell it when you play it. Although it is much better to play in VR than it ever would be flat. So yeah, that's a good one. Very Bad Dreams is $7.49 for regular people. If you're a Plus subscriber, it's like $5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that game has gotten 2,000 updates, and last time I checked in on it, it's still janky, but like it's good. I do think it's good. If you love horror and you don't mind putting up with some jank, there's some cool stuff going on there, especially for $5. It's ridiculous.
Great art direction, decent story, but a lot of kind of variety for a game like this, right? Like the levels change up quite a bit as you play through it. I mean, it lives up to its name, right? It sells itself as a living nightmare, and that's very much what the premise is. So no, it's good if you like horror games. Of course, not everyone likes horror games like you and I do, and are willing to put up with some jank. But no, this is I would say this is better than your average like indie horror game that's janky.
Yeah, I mean, there's no name attached to it. I remember crap. I was thinking about Paranormal Activity on PSVR 1, but what was the other one? Don't Knock Twice. Like it's a little jankier than Don't Knock Twice, and it doesn't have a big name attached to it. And it's only $5. I think, yeah, probably pick it up. Well, like you said, only if you like horror. Dude, Walkabout Mini Golf Hole-in-One Collection. Winter 2024. What is this? I'm going to click on this one. What does it include? Because I know they keep updating this.
I think this is just DLC, but it's all of the DLC up until winter or whatever.
Okay, so with the Hole-in-One add-on bundle. Okay, that's so crazy. I thought it included the game.
No, it's 19 courses to add to the game.
Listen, if you've got Walkabout and you haven't bought any DLC, I mean, you just get a ton of courses for $40. $40 seems like a lot to drop on DLC, but if you're like me, I haven't really checked in on Walkabout at all in months, and so I've missed out on a bunch of courses. But at the same time, I have I've spent hundreds of hours in that game over the course of the time I spent on Quest 2 and PSVR 2. It's craziness.
Yeah. This is kind of a must-have for anybody that ever has any hope of hanging out with their friends in VR. There are only a handful of games. Like I'm a person that I'm not like a big into competitive shooters or anything like that. But I do enjoy from time to time getting into VR and hanging out with people. And this is kind of the top of the list in terms of those titles where you can get in with a fairly decent sized group and just hang out and goof off and have fun while you're doing it.
Yeah, and even better, even better, they've updated it so many times. And so if you went in there with like 8 people, it used to take all day to get through a course. But now you can enable simultaneous play, so everyone can be playing simultaneously, and you can get through a course with 8 other people in like 15 minutes. It's great.
Yeah. People can join in progress and catch up to you. Like you don't have to wait on them. They can just power through, which doesn't take that long actually. You'll be surprised at how much more quickly the game goes when people aren't taking turns.
Yeah, big time, big time. Anything else on this first page? I mean, obviously there's a lot of great things.
Runner, yeah, Runner is like what, $10 if you're a Plus subscriber, or maybe a little less. Um, that's definitely one of the better titles on the list here. 11.24 if you're not a Plus subscriber. And yeah, you get a couple more dollars off if you are.
I don't want anyone getting mad at me, so I'm definitely going to point out that the Moss bundle is 20% off. It's only $25.59 for 2 amazing games. Remember this, you guys. Remember this. If you have not purchased Moss yet, Moss 1 sold for $30 when it first came out, and Moss 2 sold for $40 when it came out. So for $25 and change, you're getting $70 worth of games. They've both come down in price since, but it is way cheaper buying it now than it was at launch. Beautiful.
Yeah, games. And I'll say this about those games too. I think that they are in 2025 probably one of the more underappreciated staples in VR. Like there was a period of time where this game was at kind of the top of everybody's list of one of the best, most polished games that you can play in VR. And it really is that polished and beautiful. It's like it's like AA, AAA flat game level of polish. Each one of them being kind of short, like a lot of VR games are. But you put the two of them together, you've got a pretty epic, very polished, story-driven VR game here for $25. It's definitely worth it if you haven't played it.
So colorful, so high res. Like, I mean, it's just in the PSVR2 like OLED panels, just beautiful. Like, really, an amazing way to play. You're welcome, AJ. AJ is thanking me for doing his bidding in the chat. Let's go to page 2. Let's see if there's anything here. Page 2 is the lesser of the 2 pages, Wes, as it turns out. Listen, Awesome Asteroids. I've been going to bat for that game since day one. Very, very cool. Actually, one of the only games, I think, on PSVR 2, that in Ultra Wings 2, I believe, that support the HOTAS. And it runs at 90 native, super clean. It's a smaller game, but man, it's fun to be out there in space and shooting some asteroids. It's a very clean game. $4, less than $4 if you got Plus.
I don't know about page 2, man. I see Masternoid. I kind of enjoyed that brick breaker game.
Yeah, big time.
If you like those type of games, it has a cool like retro look to it. The only other thing that really sticks out to me is a game I haven't played yet. Deadland Polygon VR is $2, and if you are a Plus subscriber, it is $1. So.
Listen, I haven't played it. I have a key for it. I've downloaded it. I've literally never even started it up. Because what I want is Deadland 2. All this is a gun range. And I trust Awesome Tatum enough when he tells me that it's the worst gun range he's ever played in VR. And so listen, even for $2 or $1, just hold out, man. It supposedly Deadland 2 is coming out like next week. Like that's the release date. It keeps changing. Sirens on my end. It keeps changing. Right. Every time we approach the release date, they like push it ahead a month. And it's like, no, we're just kidding. We're just kidding. The fact that there's no trailer for it, the fact that there's no review keys out for it, makes me believe that it's not coming out on the 30th, like the PlayStation Store says. But like, I really enjoyed Deadlands 1. It was like a guilty pleasure. It was a lot. It was a lot of fun. I want more Endless Runners in VR, especially if they're zombie games. But
Well, hopefully they keep pushing it back. Hopefully that means that they know it isn't ready yet, and hopefully they don't feel pressured to release it too early. And typically what happens in these situations from these indie studios is they push it back and they push it back and they push it back till it gets to what they believe is a passable state, even though it's not great. And then it comes out and everyone realizes that it's still garbage and it needed another 3 months in the oven. Hopefully they just hold on to it until it's all the way there, and then release it.
all right. So those are our recommendations. I've never played Forest Farm. I heard it's not good. I wanted to check it out, but haven't had the chance. Across the Valley, I had fun with, but it goes nowhere, unfortunately. It's the kind of game that like you feel like you're working towards something and you're not. It's like you're just working towards more work. So
Tarzan.
Tarzan is on sale.
It is. It is what? $10 for plus subscribers?
Yeah, listen, it's the best version of the game that exists. That doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean it's a good game. So.
Good for a 2016 game, even though it didn't come out until like 2019 or something.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's great for a 2016 game. It's all right for a 2016 game. I don't know. All right, 2 more tips and we'll get back on track here. We've got Mad Vegan. There it is. Speaking of not, with a $2 tip says, speaking of not making a dime, buy Wes a coffee. Wes, I owe you a $2 coffee if we can find one when Gamecat Meetup rolls around.
Thank you, Mad Vegan. Mad Vegan's trying to plug my fundraiser I've got going on in my channel right now. As many of you know that watch my channel, it's not just all about PSVR for us. It's about Quest. It's about PC. And I kind of let everyone know months ago that when the new graphics cards come out, I'm going to upgrade my PC. I'm going to get a new graphics card. And I was probably going to go for the 5080, which is the second tier card. And people said you should get a 5090. And I'm like, well, that's great, but that's a $2,000 upgrade. And I just can't afford that. And then Looper suggested, well, why don't you just let us help you pay for it? And I didn't, I was hesitant at first because I don't like asking for money. It's something I've never done on my channel is ask people to buy things for me. But after he suggested it a couple more times, I said, you know what, fine. If people want to help me out, I'll certainly accept it. It definitely will make my content better if I'm able to like literally mod any flat game into VR and have it run smoothly and be able to stream it. So I started a buy me a coffee page and posted it up on my Discord there. So we've raised $300 since Sunday. So shout out to everyone who's chipped in. Mad Vegan, chief among them. And it's not just a handout. Like I've stated, the top, I think at least 5 people that donate, I'm going to let them pick what I play first and what I stream. So if there's a flat game you want me to play in VR or just in flat, or a VR game you've wanted me to cover for a long time, the top donors, pretty much anybody who makes a substantial donation, I'm going to let them pick a game and stream it for them. So thank you, Mad Vegan, for bringing that up over here. I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you did, I will. Thank you.
Unbelievable community we have here, Wes. The fact that, without us even asking, they're always right in there to try to help out and make our lives easier or better in one way or another.
Incredible.
Right?
Incredible. I'm just blown away all the time by the how awesome these people are and how generous they can be.
For sure. If you don't already subscribe to Wes over Virtual Strangers, make sure you do that. Click the link in the description below. Go join their Discord and go buy Wes a coffee if you so feel the desire to. Yeah, man, I feel the same way. I hate asking people for money. I hate being like, hey, we need money, help out. But
you know what you should do? You should take your hard-earned money and buy me a new toy, please.
Right.
Yeah, I know. It feels a little weird, but yeah. I feel like I'll definitely do everything I can to give every penny of it back in the form of content for the people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And as bad as I feel about asking, we will be having a fundraiser stream for PAX East 2025 Gamecat Meetup because holy shit, dude! Like the hotel alone is like 4 times as much as it was last year. It's like
Oh, I don't
mind-bogglingly
want to think about
expensive,
it.
and yeah. So we're gonna have to do that this time because it's gonna bankrupt all of us trying. Miles is flying from the UK. You're flying from the south. AJ's flying from Brazil. Where does AJ live again? I'm always confused by that.
He lives in
Uh,
the Soviet satellite state of Georgia.
excellent. We we hope things are going well down there. Um. Anyway, uh, thank you everybody for your generosity as always and your impending generosity. The Gamecat Andrew Ehrenreich with the $5 tip says Hitman World of Assassination is on sale. Good to grab it now before the VR2 version launches. Yeah. Um, $10 upgrade for the PSVR2 version of Hitman World of Assassination, which, considering it's basically 3 AAA games, that is the most amazing upgrade you could possibly ask for. All right. What are we doing? Wes, we have some news stories, but you know what? Like we've kind of running long on a lot of these things. So I want to jump ahead and get to the headline of today's show and talk about Pirates VR, Jolly Roger, Splitlight Studio, and Kiwi, the publisher, reached out
Right?
to me and asked me if I wanted to play it on Steam. And I said, are you fucking kidding me? Uh, no, thank you. I'm like, if it's coming to PSVR2, then like I'll wait a couple months and play it on PSVR2. However, as you've said, your channel covers not just PSVR2, but all VR. So you have played through what almost the entirety of Pirates VR already.
I think so. That's what people were telling me. I haven't played like a ton of it, but I feel like I'm about 4 hours into the game or so, and I'm fighting a big bad, a giant evil thing that's trying to kill me, and it's the only one that I've encountered on this scale in the game. And when we talked about it on the show this past weekend, I don't remember. Maybe it was Luger or someone else that told me that that was the boss fight. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a very long game, but I do believe that I've nearly finished it at this point.
Well, $20. So not the most expensive game. I mean, man, I've got a million questions. So if you don't mind answering a couple, we've got it.
No, please.
I remember them describing this game as an open world. So, I mean, do you just have like full access to the island from the get go, or is that maybe not the correct terminology?
So I mean, I don't know if open world would be the what I used to describe it. It isn't like one of those games where like Skyrim where you can see a mountain across the entire map and you can walk to any point that you see. It's not like that at all. There's a series of paths that you can take that kind of connect into one another. Um, and even at that, like when you first start, there's a part of the island, the part that you need to get to progress, has been inhabited by panthers. So you can't get close. If you start walking over there, they'll just kill you.
Okay.
And you have to you kind of have to climb up in the mountains a little bit and do some things to run them off before you get down there and get the key that you need to progress. But no, this game wasn't really what I was expecting at all. I was kind of expecting it to be more like a pirate game where you're sailing around and visiting islands and, looting people and things like that, but it wasn't like that at all. This is more like uh kind of like an Uncharted game where you just kind of wake up marooned on an island. There's an annoying parrot kind of giving you direction on where you should go.
Better or
And
worse than a floating robot in VR?
um pretty equivalent. It reminded me a lot of the parrot in Tarzan. It
Okay.
was kind of like that. Um, but it's more of an exploration game, honestly. Like and fairly linear. Like there are branching paths, but there's the one path that this is the way you need to go, and then there are paths that kind of shoot off to the sides that are dead ends where you have to kind of go down there and find some item or collection of items to move further down the main path. So it's pretty linear. Um, Most of the game is kind of inside versus outside. And
Oh,
what I mean by that is like you're traveling through caves and corridors and caverns and things like that. The part that you're outside on the surface of the island is relatively short. Maybe an hour of gameplay, and then the rest of it you're kind of making your way back into the mountain.
that's surprising because they are showing off quite a bit of the outside area in the trailer and basically kind of selling it on how beautiful it looks. Does it look pretty decent in the headset?
Yeah, I'd say that that's probably the biggest plus of the game is the production value of it. Like it looks and sounds really good. Now it didn't seem so at first because I literally had just finished Arken Age and come off of playing this for like 10 solid days, and then I went into my PC to play this Pirates VR, and I went from my PlayStation VR2 headset to my Quest 3, which is significantly more dull image. Like the contrast and color are nowhere near that of the PSVR2 headset. And immediately, like I thought, either the game is like terrible or my headset's broken or something. But it wasn't that. It was just that I was so used to playing this other more beautiful, more colorful game in this OLED panel, and what I did is I just basically um, switched over and started playing Pirates VR with the PSVR2 headset plugged into my PC, and it looked a lot better when I did that. So yeah, it's a very good looking game, very sharp, detailed textures, and some pretty good sound to go with it as well.
I was looking at the Upload VR review. They gave it a 3 out of 5 stars and said that the combat was probably the most lacking feature. Probably the thing that sort of kills it, if anything does. Jeff,
I
would you
agree
agree
with
with that?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. The majority of the game, the combat's pretty lackluster. Um, so uh, this is a game again. It's a lot of it's about exploration, finding like keys or um, pieces to a puzzle to kind of open the pathway forward. But there is some combat, like there's combat throughout most of the game. But what it consists of are these enemies that are kind of like reanimated skeletons that are coming after you, one, two, three at a time. And for the most of the game, 1 to 2 shots will kill them. Your primary weapon is a single shot pirate style pistol where you have to take one shot, reload, take another shot, reload, take another shot. Um, After you get into the game a little bit, there's a variant of the skeletons that have kind of like a force field, and you have to break that down by shooting light from your lantern to break down the force field, and then 1 to 2 shots kills the enemy. But it's all pretty much straightforward. They all act and behave the same way. They run right at you. Um, on a rare occasion, you'll take a shot and they'll disappear before the shot hits them, and then they'll spawn in behind you. So you just kind of have to get used to that. When you see one disappear, you just do a 180 and then shoot it. But it's all very repetitive and basic until the end. Now, at the end of the game, you trigger some events that starts a massive wave of these things running at you, and there's new variants, some of which have firearms that start shooting at you, others that have like pirate swords and are attacking you. And from that point forward, the combat's actually semi compelling and kind of fun. but that's like at the main end of the game before that happens. Again, assuming that I am at the end of the game, like people have said. Um, but the combat gets pretty good at the very end. Up until that point, it's pretty basic, I would say.
Well, hopefully they're, you know, still open to working on it and kind of like, you know, polishing some of the rougher edges and
Yeah,
making it a little bit more fun here and there. Because
uh,
Q2 for PSVR2, hoping that, you know, if some changes get made along the way, it could be even a better game. But I don't really know what anybody's expectations are for the $20 price point.
well, you're right. It's a $20 game, and I wouldn't necessarily think that the combat is like the biggest area of opportunity for the game, because the exploration and stuff is pretty good. Like I like the vibe of the game and the art direction and all of that. The one big thing that the game is lacking is any kind of story.
Um,
There's no story here. There's no cutscenes. There's nothing to pick up and read. You're just a guy stranded on an island with a parrot, kind of prompting you forward so that you can find loot, find like golden treasure that you don't really spend on anything, other than unlocking a couple of like mini games. Um, so I feel like it's like trying to be an Uncharted game, but with no story. It's just kind of just moving forward and collecting things when you see them.
that's
So I think
crazy.
that's the
Like,
biggest, yeah, that's the biggest thing that the game needs is some narrative.
yeah, it just seems crazy that there wouldn't be like scrolls scattered around, you know, that like
There's
are
nothing, man.
like
Absolutely
audio
nothing.
logs, like piecing together a story of something that happened on this island before you got there, right? And having that be sort of like a driving factor, other than just being like, I'm just trying to get through the game. It's a little surprising. It does sound
You're
like something
trying
that,
to you're trying to find Davy Jones's treasure. And I guess Davy Jones is the big bad giant enemy at the end, the spirit of Davy Jones or whatever. But um, you're basically just trying to be rich by finding little bags of gold and like golden chalices in treasure chests scattered around the island and in the cave system that you find yourself in.
hmm.
It's got a cool little spooky vibe to it. And the end of the game is actually pretty good. Um, but the like the 2 to 3 hours it takes to get to that point is pretty average.
So enjoying it overall.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit of a victim of the time period that it's dropping in after
Yeah.
all of these great games. Like it pretty much pales in comparison to that stuff. Um, I mean, this is the studio that brought us Afterlife. Am I right about that? Afterlife
Yep.
VR.
Split light.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
which
feel like
Afterlife was fine, blurry but fine.
Afterlife was superior in terms of story. I feel like this game is a step up in terms of pretty much everything else. Like it's not nearly as janky as Afterlife was, and um, it's pretty polished in graphically speaking. Um, it's a step in the right direction for the studio. I feel like, but it still is what it is. It's still a small indie game from a fairly new studio. And I think if there's fun to be had here if you go into it with the proper expectations. You don't expect it to be game of the year or anything, but if you want something that you can pretty much knock out in 1 to 2 sittings, and you enjoy exploring with a like spooky vibe going on, um, I've certainly played a lot worse games than this. It's probably like a firm 7 out of 10 for me. Like it's not great, but it's not bad. It's okay.
All right, cool. Well, hopefully the PSVR 2 port goes well, and with any luck, they'll maybe add some content to it between now and then. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's good to have our expectations in check. Uh, yes, some Eremite in the chat says a 4 hour game question mark. It's like this is exactly what we would expect 5 years ago, right? A 4 hour game, and probably asking more money for it. Probably asking for $30 for a 4 hour game. So it sounds like they're at least charging the right price for it, if nothing else.
Yeah, I think it's priced well. I think it's probably worth $20. Today, like I wouldn't have called this a $20 game 4 years ago, but today this is pretty standard for what you'll get for $20, and yeah, it's okay. Like the last hour is really good after the new enemy variants come and some of the cool supernatural stuff starts happening. It's actually pretty decent. Um,
Cool. My mom just sent me a text message. Happy 10-year anniversary. Sorry, Mom, this isn't going to yield any grandkids. I apologize. Subconscious Pilot with the Canadian $28 says, congratulations on the 10 years. Been watching your channels for a couple of years and have been digging your content, and you fine gentlemen. Here's to 10 more years and 300,000 subscribers. Man, somebody needs to sell a lot of PSVR2 headsets for me to have 300,000 subscribers. Figure we got to get to the 10 million mark, I think, for me to have 300,000. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Grandpa's Barbecue or Gamecat with the Australian $5 says, but Wes, with all you do for VR, I don't think you should feel weird at all about buying me a coffee. Plus, it'll improve your content. So kind.
Thank you for saying that. I do feel weird. Like, and this is what everyone said to me. Mostly, there was one guy in my Discord. I don't even know who he was.
There's always going to be one guy. Always.
There was one guy. Looper left me a message on there that said, "Hey, for those of us who didn't watch the episode, could you post the link in the Discord?" And I left him a message back and said, "Yeah, sure, I'll post it here." And some dude just said, "Stop, just stop." I was like, all right, man.
Right.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Some people thrive on being unhappy.
I'm fine with that. Like I said, I don't feel happy about it. But if people want to help, I'll certainly accept it. In this case, I think I want to play Silent Hill 2 in VR. I want to play Hellblade 2 in VR, and I want to be able to stream it. And I just can't do that right now, right? And if people want to help me get to the point where I can, then I'm going to accept it.
Grandpa's Barbecue or Gamecat with the level 1 membership says, congrats on 10 years, Brian. Thank you so much. The support has been ridiculous. Craziness. 10 years is the longest I've done anything, Wes. That's not true. I waited tables for like 20 years, so I'm a fucking liar. Not sure Brondo with the $5 tip says, I might say calling virtual strangers the Twisted Sister channel has a better ring to it. I like that.
We're not going to take it, Brian.
No, we're not. We're not going to take it anymore. I bought a gun, Wes. You're all fucked. That was the weirdest threat I've ever just thrown out in the middle of a Gamescast ever. Wes, I brought up the Flatout trailer. I would feel a little bit weird talking about flat to VR stuff with you or Miles on the channel, but maybe, Wes, you're the exact person I should be asking about this, because Upload VR just posted an article regarding Flatout VR and saying that you guys are aiming to take the best parts of each game in the Flatout series for Flatout VR. What do you know about this? What do you know? What can you tell us?
Pretty much what Eric just said there. Like, I think it was funny. I had no idea that this article was a thing. We didn't like make a statement or send out a press release or anything. This is basically our friend Henry from Upload VR caught up with Eric in Europe this past week, and I guess got him to talk a little bit about some of the projects that we're working on. And Eric does like to talk when he's at these events. And
no shade thrown. Sorry.
I'm just saying. So I mean, if Eric says it, I'm allowed to at least back him up on it, right? Like, obviously I know more than I can talk about, but if Eric's out there talking, then I can kind of at least lend a little bit of light to what he's saying. And yeah, no, what he's saying is true. Again, I'm not privy to everything that that's happening in the Flat to VR side of things. We are pretty separated from the studio over on the PR marketing side. Um, but from what I understand, yeah, it's still kind of undetermined what Flatout is going to end up being. There are parts of every game that we would like to incorporate, and what we're able to do as a team logistically in a reasonable amount of time. They're still kind of trying to determine that. Um, I think that there was one of the games, one of the like two or three, um, that most people kind of consider the definitive version of Flat Out, and I think that obviously they're trying to kind of use that as a basis to build off of, but there are tracks and features from the other games that a lot of people like as well, and we want to bring all of that in there. Much like they did with Trombone Champ, they pretty much made a whole new game out of the bits and pieces of that. So um, I would say that Flat Out is still in the very earliest stages of planning right now, and I wouldn't be shocked if there are unannounced games that actually launch before Flat Out launches. Like Flat Out's pretty far away at this point, but I'm confident that when it does get here, that it's going to be great and live up to people's expectations.
I appreciate you saying that, because that was I was going to ask about that. That's a conversation that was happening over on our Discord. Somebody created a thread on the news story and started saying, man, based on what it sounds like, based on this, mini interview with Eric, it seems like the game is really far away.
Yes.
And so it's good to have a little bit of transparency to find out, like, hey, maybe in your mind, back burner this thing. Don't think about it too much. It's probably a ways out. And look forward to other stuff from Flat to VR first, because I think when a game gets announced without a release date, you're like, is this 2 months away? Is this 2 years away? Like, where are we at? So it's good to know that it's on the further side.
Now, with that said, let me kind of put this in the proper context. When I say it's far away, that's in relative terms, because the one thing that really has shocked me about the ability of the developers that we do have at Flat to VR Studio, and that's just how quickly these guys work. So when I say it's further away, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be years. I think we'll see other titles first before we see Flat Out. Um,
Gotcha.
I mean, Trombone Champ Unflattened is a completely new game, other than the original Trombone Champ. Like it's a whole new game, and I think they did that in less than a year. So they move very quickly, and I wish I could share more about some of the other titles that are being worked on in the state that they're in, but it's unbelievable how fast these guys work. They're really some of the best developers in the world. So when I say Flat Out's still quite some time away, that doesn't mean we won't see it this year. Like we could see it at the end of the year possibly. Um, it's just we're growing very quickly, and we have a lot more that we haven't shared with anyone yet. But stay tuned. There's news coming soon.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear more. Looking forward to it. Like, more than anything else, Wes, I'm looking forward to seeing a new trailer for it, because clearly everything in this trailer that we're running right now is the only stuff that we've seen. And it's just sort of like, hey, here's a camera sitting on the hood of a car. And I definitely want to see some interiors and, some true VR gameplay. So that's what I'm looking forward to more than any news on the game. I've never played a Flat Out game. So I've been kind of hearing from people, oh, I hope it has these elements from this one, and I hope they ignore this one completely, and blah, blah. Like, I've just been hearing all of this secondhand. So I'm like, learning about that stuff for me isn't exciting, because I'm like, I haven't played any of these games. It means nothing to me. But seeing a trailer from a VR perspective inside the car, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. And I hope that is coming soon.
I'm looking forward to revealing what you all don't know about yet.
That's your tease for the day, folks. It's your tease for the day. Let's knock out a few more tips and play a little 4-minute challenge. Also, I want to give a shout out to Radboy in the chat. He's been saying a lot of nice things, reminding everyone to like the video. It does really help the algorithm. And thank you for all the kind words that you've been expressing in the chat, Radboy. I've seen it. It has not gone unnoticed. We love you very much. Nick, the Gamecat Freak, gifted 1 without parole membership. Thank you so much, Nick. Ace Gamer Cat. Why does one say Ace Gamer? Ace Gamer Cat with a level 1 membership says, super congrats on the decade of premium content. Unless you've gone back to the very beginning, I wouldn't congratulate me on a decade of premium content. I think the last 3 or 4 years have been pretty fucking good. Before that, it was like sketchy at best. So almost half a decade of premium content and 60% of a decade of sketchy content. All right, Wes, you ready to play a little 4-minute challenge?
Maybe. Is it my turn or yours? I didn't even look. You host. Yeah, I'm ready.
I picked a game, and that means you guys out there and Wes in here have an infinite number of questions, but only 4 minutes to figure out what PSVR1 or PSVR2 game I'm thinking of. Hopefully I have it up somewhere here. And so make sure you give them good suggestions based on the answers you get to your questions. On your mark. Get Des. Go.
Is this game on PSVR2?
No. Sorry.
Is this game on other platforms other than PSVR1?
Yes.
Is it on Quest?
I believe so, yes.
Is it on Steam?
I believe so. I'm double checking.
Is it playable
right
flat?
No.
No. Is it based on a known IP?
Yes. I don't think it's on Quest. I didn't know this.
So not on Quest. Steam and PSVR1, based on a known IP. Is this a IP from television and or movies?
It went. No, it was not based on a TV show or a movie.
Okay, so then this must be a gaming franchise then.
It was not taken from, the IP is not from within the video game space.
So the IP is not from TV, movies, or the video game space. So
correct. I just want to tell you more information, but I can't.
Comic books?
No.
No. Novels?
No.
Music?
No.
What the fuck, man? I feel like I'm going down completely the wrong. Because, like, where would the IP come from if it's not from any of those medium? I'm just going to have to switch up my thinking and go down a different road, I guess.
Yeah.
First person?
Yes.
Okay. Full locomotion?
No.
No. Okay. So it is first person. It's not full locomotion. Node-based teleport?
No.
Any teleport?
No.
Any locomotion at all?
No.
So it's a stationary game. Does it use move controllers?
That's a good question. I remember using the Dual Shock. Let me just double check. It does say, yeah, there is move controller optional. Yes.
Okay. Are there werewolves in the game?
There is a werewolf in the game.
There is a werewolf in the game. Are you a werewolf in the game?
Sometimes.
I haven't played this game, but I think I know. I think AJ's nailed it here. I seem to remember. So is this a social multiplayer game?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Is there like a campfire in the key art?
Yes.
Is this game Werewolves Within, Brian?
Well, it's coming out in December of 2016 by Ubisoft, and apparently delivering us a trailer in 720p. Whatever. This is indeed Werewolves Within. Sadly, not on PSVR2. And I looked it up. It's not on Quest. Like, what the fuck?
Oh,
How did this game not make it to Quest?
it was before Quest, man. This game predates Quest by a
BQ.
good bit.
Oh my god. Very few games are BQ. Most games are AQ.
Yeah, I know.
Craziness. You never played this, really?
No, I never played it. I never really had any desire to. Like when I started playing VR, I was not a social person. I didn't enjoy multiplayer games, and nothing about this footage from it looked particularly compelling or
Yeah.
exciting to me. So I was just like, no. Like I never played this. I never played the Star Trek game either, the social multiplayer Star Trek game. I
Wow.
never played that.
Bridge Crew was
Bridge Crew.
really good.
Yeah, I never
Yeah.
played that. Yeah.
Now, Bridge Crew was really good. This was really good. But yeah, listen, I was in the exact same boat as you. I was trying to get over that multiplayer hump, right? Where people asked me to play and I'd get stressed out and be like, oh, man, I have to you're gonna have to rely on me for something, like in Bridge Crew especially, right? At least in Werewolves, you just sit there and you're kind of on your own, right? And you just can lie to people or whatever. And so you're only disappointing yourself when you fail. But in Bridge Crew, it's like, man, you're an integral part of the team. Like if you don't do your part, you're probably gonna fail that mission, and it's all gonna be on you. And I can't. That stresses me the fuck out. So even though I played both of these games, I didn't play nearly as much as I would today, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a process with me, man. Like games Arizona Sunshine, 2-player co-op, and then Farpoint. Slowly started breaking down my walls because I wanted to share those experiences with people. I enjoyed them so much. And then after I started making content, obviously a lot of people wanted to hang out in VR. So just it was a process over time. Well after Wearables Within was ever a thing before I ever really became a regular in multiplayer games.
So to answer your question of how do you make friends in your 30s and 40s, you just have to start a fucking VR YouTube channel, and then slowly gain a following, and then you'll have friends. Secrets of says it is now a movie. That was so difficult. It is a movie, and but it's based on the game. And the game is based on the board game or the cards, right? The card game, whatever the fuck it was, and just called Werewolves. And I don't know, man. I'm glad you didn't stay too long on that train of thought because it would have gotten you nowhere, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, though, I think that it's kind of a weird space within the entertainment medium is probably what gave it away for AJ to be able to guess it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good job, AJ, and good job, Wes. Because, dude, the number of times people have it in the chat and I don't even fucking notice when they get the answer. I was like, it's too stressful when you're playing sometimes. So, all right, it is time to get out of here, guys. Thank you so very much, everybody, for being here. It's great to be back and feeling better, and everything's going well. And I'm going to play some, dude. If anybody's still here, I know a lot of people tune out before we play the last game. If anybody's still here and owns No More Rainbows on PSVR2, I need your help, right now, because I want to get this review basically out the door by Friday morning, which means tomorrow is going to be a lot of the editing and all that. But I still need to play the multiplayer mode. And so if anybody owns No More Rainbows on PSVR 2, I know AJ's got it and Awesome Tatum's got it and I've got it, and that's kind of fucking it. And the multiplayer has support for up to 8 players. So if anybody owns the game and wants to help out and be part of the review, after Gamescast is over, I'm going to be jumping in. So please hit me up over on Discord and let me know that you want to play, and we'll fucking do it, man. Because I got to check out those multiplayer modes. I'm really excited to check them out. Let's do it.
I didn't even know that game had a multiplayer mode in it. News to me.
Yeah, it seems like there's a deathmatch mode and a chicken chase. I forget. I think that's what it's called. And the boss levels of No More Rainbows are chase sequences. Like you're chasing the boss through a level and platforming and trying to avoid their attacks the entire time. And it's really fun. Like it's not a massive departure from what the rest of the game is. So it doesn't feel like you're doing something radically different, but it is a big enough departure where it's fun and interesting and being like, oh, really, I look forward to these things. And so I hope that the chicken chase mode is kind of like that, where you're chasing maybe a giant chicken through a level and the first one to get it wins or whatever. I don't know. It'd be something like that. I don't know though, because I've never played it. So Let's fucking do it. If anybody's got it, let me know. I'll see you over on Discord, and we'll arrange something. We're gonna get it started in the next 20-30 minutes. But thank you, Wes, as always, for being here. Another awesome West Day in the books. Everybody go subscribe to Virtual Strangers and join us over on Discord. All those links are in the description below. Thanks to everybody who helps with the channel, all the mods, Waleed for doing timestamps tonight, Rody for doing... how did I screw this up? Rypop for putting the stuff on podcast services, everybody's sports channel on patreon.com/withoutparolegames, or being a member over here, or tipping during the show. But of course, we just love that you're here. Thank you, everybody, for being in the chat, hanging out, shooting the shit, helping out during 20 questions. And everybody who sits back and watches the show and doesn't say a goddamn word, we know you're out there. Trust me, we know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Happy Wednesday, Wes.
Happy Wednesday, Brian. Happy Wednesday, cats. This was fun, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Always fun, Wes. Let's go. Asia Wrath in the chat says Masters of Light got delisted. Do you know anything about this?
No, this is complete news to me. I can't imagine that's permanent. Like something must be going on.
This has to do something with the hand tracking, right? I mean, it's got it. Maybe they're relisting it with hand tracking information or hand tracking capabilities or something. I had that game a week before embargo lifted, or a week before it came out. I've still never even started it. I don't even know how it plays. So I'll have to check into it, and hopefully when it gets relisted, it'll be relisted with hand tracking, and we'll get to try that out.
That would be cool.
Wes, as we always do, I think it's fun to take a look back at Without Parole history before we call it a day here.
How far back?
I mean, pretty far back, man. Pretty far back. We're going further back than we usually do. And I think this time around we're going to go all the way back to January 20th. Where the hell is the file? I'm trying to speak slower so I can find it.
That was 2 days ago, Brian.
January 20th, 2020. That's what I'm looking for here. So that's right 5 years ago. January 23rd. So it's tomorrow, 5 years ago. You want to see what's happening 5 years ago on the channel?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here we go.
I remember it.
Dude, the title of this episode of Gamescast Live 5 years ago was, "Is Starchild in Trouble?"
Nah, man. Everything's okay.
Yeah. Here we are in the future. We're here to tell you that everything turned out just fine. Holy shit, dude! Like, what a long, epic story that led nowhere, right? I mean, Starchild was on. Was it the initial batch of PSVR demo discs?
No, it was in version 2 or version 3.
Okay.
I think it came in with persistence, or right around that time when they added persistence to it.
Right.
But
Steve Harry in the chat says, "I still have hope." Nice. I like people like you who just never give up hope. This is okay. So for anyone who doesn't know, I saw Ace Gamercat in the chat says, "What the fuck is Starchild?" Dude, this was a game that was, again, showcased on some early demo discs, and it was a 2D side-scrolling puzzle platformer adventure type game. It looked a lot like Metroid, and so people immediately were like, "It's a Metroidvania," but we had zero indication that that would be the case. And so for years we kept hearing it's not canceled. In 2018, I put up a breaking news video that said, "Don't worry, Starchild isn't canceled." 2018, 2 years before this episode, that said, "Is Starchild in trouble?" So it was just like this long, drawn-out cancellation process with no fucking climax. They never said, "Oh, it's canceled." Never, ever. They've never actually canceled the game. It just never came out. It's ridiculous.
They canceled the studio. The studio, Playful,
Lucky Sales Studio, right?
Yeah, that's right. They announced that that they were shutting down, that they weren't going to make any more VR games. But then they ported Lucky's Tale to PlayStation after that, if I remember correctly. But Star Child was never revived. Yeah,
It's crazy, man. That is.
it is crazy. It was crazy how much hype there was for this game because I mean, it was beautiful, but it was kind of basic. It was a side scroller game. It looked like it could have been a flat game on PS3 is what it looked like. But it was so clear and detailed for the time that there was just all this hype around it, and
Yeah.
people were digging the vibe. Like it had this cool sci-fi vibe to it, and a lot of neon lights and bloom. And this was before a lot of the like cyberpunk games and stuff we would go on to have later. But people held on to hope for a long time for this game. And when you look back at that demo, I mean, it was about as basic as it gets.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know
I mean,
what ever would have become of it had it come out.
yeah, I think, like I said, I think because it had sort of this Metroid vibe, people sort of built it up in their heads to make it something that was bigger than it was. And I do think that if I was guessing why it got canceled, is because the development studio was realized that it was a pretty basic game and they weren't going to be delivering on anybody's expectations. That they didn't have the capabilities to make a full on Metroidvania. That this was like, yeah, what it was pretty basic, and it was probably going to get pretty bad reviews because of it.
Eye
Just a
candy,
guess.
nothing more.
Yeah. Yeah. Still a shame it didn't come out. Always wondering what happened to all those games that got canceled or never released. There's a massive video that I want to make regarding PSVR1 games that got canceled or just never came out. And it's ridiculous. There's like dozens and dozens of them. And it's just like, man, what would have happened to these games? Like, did they ever have a chance in hell of coming out? Or and if they did, and if they would have come out, would they have been any good? Love to take a deep dive into that someday.
It'd be a fun conversation to have.
It would be. It would be. Maybe we'll make a a chart. We'll make a ranking chart and we'll rank which games could have been the best. But we'll get around to it one of these days. On another slow news day, we'll get around to that. But thank you
Okay.
again, you guys. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you Friday.
Bye.